that your church?
Yes. Actually, I preached there on yesterday.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And your theme is?
God's foolishness reigns over man's wisdom, 1 Corinthians 1:18 through 24, NRSV.
Okay.
Alright.
Absolutely.
My text for this evening is from 1 Corinthians, the first chapter, verses 18 through 24. And I will be reading from NRSV, which is New Revised Standard Version. For the message about the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing. But for us who are being saved, it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and the discernment of the discerning I will thwart. Where is the one who is wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the debater of this age? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of the world? For since in the wisdom of God the world did not know God through wisdom, God decided through the foolishness of our proclamation to save those who believe. For Jews demand signs and Greeks desire wisdom. But we proclaim Christ crucified, a stumbling block to Jews and foolishness to Gentiles. But to those who are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God and the wisdom of God. There is an old proverb that says, knowledge is power. Scientia potentia est, which is a Latin aphorism attributed to Sir Francis Bacon by his secretary Thomas Hobbes in 1668. For those of us who did not know or don't know, an aphorism is a statement of a principle or a formulation of a truth or a sentiment. We live in a time where honesty, truth, and intellectual prowess has taken a back seat to prestige, beauty, power, and money. Presently, it appears that the more money you have, the more influence you can acquire. The more influence you acquire, the more prestige or strength you seem to be able to obtain. The more prestige you are able to obtain, the higher the social or political status you appear to control. From being a doctor or a lawyer or being a mayor or a governor to being a congressperson or a senator, or even being one of the federal secretaries to being the commander-in-chief.
Okay, go on.
It is the appearance in today's society, if I have money, I can control many things. Because I have the control, I can control the rules. And if I control the rules, I can do things the way I want to do them. It doesn't matter if the way I do them is inequitable. It doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter if I do things that only help me or my cronies. As long as I have the power, as long as I have the control, I should benefit. No matter if the things I do are wise or even if they may be foolish. It's my way or no way. In 1 Corinthians, the first chapter, verses 10 through 17, we find Paul addressing the people of Corinth. Now, he was addressing them about the divisions in the church. Here, Paul reminds the Corinthians that they need to become more focused on being united Christians. They should not be focusing on which preacher or which teacher is better or more correct than the other. Paul reminds the Corinthians that, yes, Apollos and Cephas and even himself, they are all good teachers. Their personalities and teaching styles may be ever so attractive, but that isn't what's important. Paul emphasizes that the Corinthians need to recognize that each of them should be delivering the same message. That message is Christ Jesus. Christ's message of faith and hope and love must not be divided. True followers of Christ must remain on one accord, knowing that Christ must be our all and all. Individual teachers and individual personalities are not important. Now that we get to our text verse 18 in 1 Corinthians, Paul points out that many, or for many, the cross is something foolish. How in the world could someone think that the cross is foolish? We as humans can only think human ideas and with human ways. To believe that someone could be nailed to a cross may be a bit far-fetched. It is difficult for many humans to believe something that we have never seen or never experienced. We have seen enough pictures and read enough historical accounts to know that, yes, a person can be nailed on a cross. Maybe not the way we imagine it, but a death on the cross was a possibility. But to believe that one person's death, in fact, could and will save all humankind is far beyond the human scope of understanding. But to those of us who are believers, we hold on to the knowledge of knowing John 3:16. John 3:16 tells us, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever should believe it in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life." And because the word says it, for those of us that are believers, that's enough. The Jews believed that a Messiah was coming, so they already knew that, and that knowledge had been passed on from generation to generation. However, when the Jews imagined a Messiah, they saw a Messiah riding in on a big old horse, conquering king, smiting and cutting and doing all types of things. Instead, of course, we know that Jesus came in on a donkey. We know that Jesus performed many miracles, but the miracles Jesus performed were performed not in Jesus' name, but in God's name. Jesus performed his miracles humbly, without big fanfare, without parades, without Jesus taking credit, but giving all honor and glory to God. To those that are power hungry, to those that are status seeking, to those that are in search of influence, that would be foolish. Of course you take care of something you needed. Through Jesus Christ, God offers us something that the world could never give us: an everlasting life. In verse 20 of our text, it asks the following questions. Where is the one who is wise? Does that mean the learned men of their time? Does that mean the religious leaders of their time? Well, does that mean the great philosophers of their time? Exactly what is the criteria that makes someone wise? Can the poor be wise, or is it just for those who are rich or have status? Where is the scribe? A scribe is a Jewish record keeper or a transcriber. We can transcribe all the information we need or keep all the records that we want, but that has nothing to do with one's soul. That has nothing to do with an everlasting life.
That's right.
That has nothing to do with God's strength and God's power. Where is the debater of the age? Arguing about the present age or even the days of old has nothing to do with the everlasting. Actually, For many people, it's just talking loud and saying nothing. We can spend a lifetime gaining all kinds of education, but fail to have a personal relationship with God. Now, as a seminary student, some of you may think that sounds pretty strange for me to say, but this is one thing I know. My seminary education does not give me a relationship with God.
Amen.
It is because it is because I have a relationship with God that I desire to learn more about God in as many different ways as possible. It is because I have a relationship with God that I have the desire to grow in my love of God through Jesus Christ. Because I have a relationship with Christ, I know that I have a peace of mind. I have a joy in my heart that the world didn't give me.
That's right.
And the world cannot take it away.
Amen.
No matter how smart they are, or how well they keep the records, or how well they can argue their point, a human can never give me, tell me, or figure out for me what God has given to me. And it was free.
Amen.
I've spoken about the Jews and their foolishness, and the Greeks, they were no better. Jesus failed to live up to the Greeks' idea of strength and power and ability. The Greeks gave their mythological gods and goddesses a lot of power. After all, Jesus was crucified. Crucifixion was a punishment for the lowly, for the lower class.
Yes.
Where was the victory in the death? Isn't death the end? The Greeks found it hard to believe in the resurrection of the body. According to their beliefs, aren't the body and the soul two separate things? So all that Jesus stuck to the Greeks was foolishness as well. However, if you investigate a little further in 1 Corinthians 15, verses 12 through 19, you find a response to the Jews and the Greeks thinking. But is it preached that Christ has been raised from the dead? How can some of you say that there is no resurrection of the dead? If there is no resurrection of the dead, then not even Christ has been raised. And if Christ has not been raised, our preaching is useless, and so is our faith. More than that, we are then found to be false witnesses about God. For we have testified about God that He raised Christ from the dead, but He did not raise Him. In fact, the dead are not raised. For if the dead are not raised, then Christ has not been raised either. And if Christ has not been raised, our faith is futile, and we are still in our sins. Then those who have fallen asleep in Christ are lost. For if only this life we have hoped in Christ, we are for all people to be most pitied. As believers, we know that our faith and our belief are not in vain. On Resurrection, Easter Sunday, we celebrated that Jesus Christ lives. That knowledge may sound foolish to those that don't believe, but to those of us that do believe, Jesus Christ's resurrection demonstrated the power Jesus had and still has. The power even over death. Yes, the Jews looked for signs and the Greeks wanted wisdom, but the simple act of belief in Jesus was all that was and all that is still required to have an everlasting life. So how can something as simple as belief make believers so wise and make non-believers so foolish? Christ is our strength and our power.
Yes.
We can only be saved through Christ.
Amen.
Knowing Christ personally is the greatest wisdom anyone can ever have.
That's right.
We must let go of our human thinking and put on our spiritual thinking. Human thinking is limited, It can only go so far, while spiritual thinking is limitless. Verse 25 of 1 Corinthians tells us, "For the foolishness of God is wiser than human wisdom, and the weakness of God is stronger than human strength."
That's right.
Paul is reminding the Corinthian church, as well as us today, that no amount of human knowledge, no amount of miracles, not even a multitude of signs can surpass the blessed gift of an everlasting life, a life with Christ Jesus. 1 Corinthians 1:31 tells us, "It is because of him that you are in Christ Jesus, who has become for us wisdom from God. That is our righteousness, our holiness, our redemption. Therefore it is written, let one who boasts, boast about the Lord." The saying, scientia potentia est, knowledge is power, is very true. No, it isn't the knowledge of academic power. No, it isn't the knowledge of economics. And no, it isn't even the power of personal power or privilege. But it is the knowledge of Jesus Christ that makes those of us who are believers wise and the world of unbelievers foolish. It is the knowledge of who Christ is that gives believers the faith to endure. It is the knowledge of Christ that we can have an everlasting life. And that makes us wise and never, ever foolish.